Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Manhood Academy Interviews. I have with us a self-identified MGTOW DJ. DJ, welcome.
Hi, nice to be here. My name is Daryl Johnson, which is DJ for short.
All right,
I'm also a DJ by profession.
You have his identifying information. Hopefully you won't give out your credit card and your home address too soon in the future. DJ,
I've got nothing to hide.
You have nothing... He has nothing to hide. No income to hide, nothing from the IRS, nothing. Okay, good. DJ, let's get into it. You have listened to one of our podcasts calling out the MGTOWs and their sordid, delusional philosophy, how they deal with women. It's basically a sour grapes movement, plus guys who are disillusioned and they're like in the Elliot Rodger mode. They don't know how to deal with women, so they're kind of rejecting women. So they have that mindset. And we were critical of this type of throw away 50% of the population, alienate yourself from society, go militia mode. And plus, the people we've debated who have called themselves MGTOWs said we're anywhere from we date women to we hate women, and anything can qualify as a MGTOW philosophy, so they're not even solidified in what they believe in. So we're here to clear up these misconceptions or maybe out or reinforce some of the things that we've already talked about in our previous podcast. Let's get to it.
Yeah, somewhere along the line, MGTOWs, I personally think...
By the way, before we get into legal trouble, do we have your consent to record? You already gave out your name or whatever.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Go ahead.
Yes. Somewhere along the line, MGTOW has it's kind of lost its way, and it's kind of got a little bit twisted. This is just my opinion.
Okay, well, first of all, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but for anybody that's listening for the first time, MGTOW means men going their own way, acronym for that. Movement, generally speaking, of men who have kind of said we're tired of society saying that men should be this, men should be masculine, men should treat women this way, or men should have this responsibility, and they're just kind of shirking that and saying, hey, we want to do our own thing.
Well, it's actually an offshoot of the Men's Rights Association movement. The original concept behind MGTOW is to reinforce masculinism in men and feminism in women, which in itself is kind of similar to what you teach, I think.
Right, that's exactly what we're talking about at the Academy.
But I don't know, like somewhere along the line, it's grown and there's no structure to it. And when you join some of these MGTOW groups, it just becomes about a huge bitch fest. It just becomes about men complaining about what women have done to them in the past, and there's no kind of structure to it, and it's just other men patting other men on the back and saying, yeah, women are to blame for everything in our lives.
Well, I think you hit the solution on the head, but very lightly, and I think that's really why it gets into bitching and complaining, because you're saying that we should go back to our functional roles, which men have certain obligations as men, just like women are the only ones with a womb, so obviously have the obligation to bear children. So there are functional roles within our genders that we don't know too much about because society is convoluting these roles, with feminism and different types of movements along those lines. They're really convoluting the gender roles, so it's really hard to even know what is expected of you or what you should do as a man, how you should behave. Same with the women. Women today behave like men. So you're saying originally MGTOW was designed, at least in your opinion, to kind of flesh out these roles and make them clearer for people. What is a woman's role? What is a man's role? What does it mean to be masculine? What does it mean to be feminine? But now, because they don't have the to-do part, they don't have the part that says, here's what you should do as a man, here's what you should do as a woman, because they're not clear on this. I think most men aren't clear on this, that they just devolve into what have women done to us. Because if you can't tell somebody else, hey, you should be acting like this as a man, or it means this to be masculine, this is what a masculine guy does, or this is what a masculine function is, this is what a feminine function is. If you can't define those, all you're left with is, this woman has treated me this way, etc.
Yeah, I think a lot of men in modern society feel that their role as a man has been stripped away from them. Feminism has been around for a long time,
right.
And obviously the point of feminism was to try and create equality, but it didn't really achieve equality. What it achieved was sameness. You've got men who are more like women, and you've got women who are more like men, and men don't have the same buying power, as you will, as they used to have. It was always the traditional way. It was like the man was the provider, and the woman needed to somehow fit into that role. And now, women are much more independent now. Women can provide for themselves, so men don't have the.
Well, yes and no. I mean, two things. Where you talk about feminism has been around for a long time. We talk about two aspects of feminism. We talk about the political aspect, which most people are familiar with, like Jessica Valente, feministing, Jezebel, those types of visible movements who say we are feminists and we're fighting for equal rights and we're against rape culture and all kinds of bullshit along those lines. That's the feminism, the political arm. And we can trace it back to maybe the 60s and 70s and vocal movements where women are marching. We identify this political arm of feminism. But the most important aspect of feminism is not the political side, but it is the principle side, the spirit of feminism, for lack of a better term, which is anytime a woman is trying to take control of a man. This is going against the gender roles. This is going against functional gender roles, because we know from experience, all the debates, all the proof we've given in our site, the evidence we've listed, that men should be in charge. Men should be leading relationships. So anytime you try to have women lead relationships, as we are today in under feminist society and feminist rule and feminist legal system, you have all these problems because women are trying to fulfill a role they're not suited for. They're trying to fulfill a gender role they're not suited for. And so we get a lot of flack from this. People are calling us traditionalists. People are saying we're just a He-Man woman haters club. This won't work. But we speak from experience. We're not just saying this is a good idea, or we're cavemen, or we're trying to start up a new men's movement to regain masculinity because we want to be bear hunting, non-shaving, masculine men. No, it has nothing to do with this. But this is what our critics hear because they're very uneducated at what we do. But we speak directly from experience, and I specifically speak from a lot of experience in dating women that the functional role that a man must be in charge, must lead the relationship in order for it to be a functional relationship, in order for it to be harmonious and work out. And for both people's needs, the woman and the man, for both their needs to get met in the relationship, the man must be in charge. So the principle of feminism is to upset that authority role and to put the woman in charge. And that's what we see today. Relationships are in trouble because women are trying to lead the relationship.
I'm not sure if that was the point of feminism to begin with, but it certainly seems the way it's evolved into.
Let me address that. I'm sorry, I forgot to address the second point that you brought up. Well, you said that initially that feminists were fighting for equality, but a lot of times when feminists talk about equality, they definitely don't talk about responsibility. So their version of equality is really a child's version of equality. It's like saying, Daddy, you get to drive the car, therefore you have more rights than me. But they don't realize Daddy is responsible for everybody's life in the car. Just like women say, men make $1 for every 70 cents we make on the job. It's unfair. But what women don't point out, what feminists don't point out, is that men work in more dangerous jobs. They go in for more education. They work longer hours. These are all documented by the Department of Labor. So when they're harping on rights, they're really harping on privileges, because rights without responsibilities essentially amount to privileges. So women are complaining they don't have any privileges. So this notion of men oppressing them throughout history, men being in charge, men owning all the property. Again, they completely neglect to discount all the men that die in wars, right? All the men that die on the job. The death rate is mostly 90% men on jobs. They completely neglect. I mean, even in modern day society, only men are required to sign up for selective service for the draft. If there's a military action or something of that kind, some grand scale thing, it's going to be men that are called to serve, not women. So men's very lives are at risk here, and women completely discount this. So to even cry about, boo-hoo, we're not getting paid enough, there's rape culture, men have more rights, blah, 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 it's complete bullshit, because if you never bring up the issue of responsibility, what am I responsible to when I have this right? If you never bring that up, fuck you. You don't deserve that right.
No, I totally agree with you there. I mean, the original concept was about equality, but
you can't have. They're talking about us being oppressed, like women didn't have the vote. That's a common gripe. Women didn't have a vote until blah blah blah. This time period. But again, you got to look at what did men have to sacrifice in order to vote, right? They had all the responsibility to who had to support the family. The man had to support the family. If there was a war, who had to defend? The man had to do that. I mean, you see all the posters in Britain. There was posters that were women were shaming guys who didn't sign up for death to go to a war, right? So women didn't have this pressure on them to give up their lives. So when women talk about we weren't equal, we didn't have equal rights, again, I say fuck you, because you didn't have the responsibility on your shoulder to die in a war. I mean, that was a reality 100 years ago. It was a serious time. We had World War I, World War II. Men died in huge numbers, so it's an insult when some cunt like Hillary Clinton or that other guy come on there and say, the biggest victims and casualties in war are women and children. It's such a shockingly absurd statement. It just completely neglects all these men who have died, sacrificed their lives for women's welfare, for women's rights. I mean, it's absurd. Of all people, soldiers who should be protesting. It's ironic that soldiers should be the ones who should be the first to protest, and yet they're the first to say, oh, defer to women, because it's usually the country bumpkins they round up to become soldiers. But it's a shame, because these soldiers should really be taught, hey, My fucking life is on the line for my country. Where are all the women on the front lines?
It's funny, I think you have more in common with MGTOWs than you think you do, because these subjects come up all the time on the pages.
Well, I think to a certain extent, I think you see the unfairness of the proposition. I think men are smart to see this, whether they're MRA, MGTOW, or what have you, but they have such poor leadership, and they have such poor points of action, mission statement, what have you. They have no direction. They don't know what the fuck they're doing. They just know there are things that are unfair in life. But if they don't know what to do about them, and there's not some scrutiny, some public scrutiny allowed for their views, then it just becomes complaining, and worse, when you're not able to scrutinize that, it becomes this censoring community, this type of nefarious activity that nobody trusts. You basically become a politician in a movement that doesn't have political power yet, but if it does get into power, it'll just be just as bad as any other political group out there that doesn't allow public scrutiny of their views. And that's a huge complaint with MGTOWs and MRAs. I can't tell you how many guys are, some of those faggots are so scared to even debate us. You and me are discussing things, right? We're over a webcam. We're not fist fighting. We're having words here. But so many MGTOWs I see in the comments, don't debate Manhood Academy. Oh, they have tricks. What kind of fucking tricks are we? We're talking. What tricks? The biggest accusation we get is we silence our critics. We don't let them speak. Yes, I'm animated. Yes, I care about what I'm saying. But if you have a say and you're a critic, I'm not going to fucking suppress your view. We suppress keyboard warriors who don't allow us to respond back to rebut their ridiculous points. But like a guy like you that has the balls to show up, we welcome critics like that.
Well, thank you for having me here. What we're talking about is more sort of MRA based. When you're talking about like movement, or MGTOW is more sort of like a personal philosophy rather than movement.
Well, look, you would be considered a movement if there was, let's say, 1 million MGTOWs. Then you could call it a movement. To say it's a personal philosophy, how intellectually honest is that? If other people are identifying as MGTOWs, aren't they doing something when you say a man is going his own way? Isn't there a general philosophy?
That's what it is. That's how it's described. It's a man going his own way. It's living your own life according to your own rules.
Right, but doesn't that? What does to distinguish that from saying an individual philosophy, which we already have in society, where dog eat dog world, capitalism, you do your own thing, you just go by your own beat of your own drum. How is that any different than a MGTOW?
I guess it's where the group comes into it. It's where guys are coming together and they're helping each other to break out of the...
Yeah, but when you say helping each other, of all the MGTOWs that have contacted us, as far as help goes, all we've heard is the comments we get on our videos, the ones that we delete are the ones that go, fuck women, fuck, they're evil, they're this, they're that. How helpful is that to a guy?
Well, I'm going to be completely honest here, and I'm going to lose popularity with people here, but I don't give a shit.
Uh-oh.
Most of the MGTOW groups are exactly the way you described. They're full of victims and they're pity parties, and all they want to do is come together and they want to pat each other on the back and they want to complain about how horrible women are and how women are to blame for everything in their lives. But I don't know how it has evolved into that, because that's not the way the original concept
Well, it's just like we told you. If you don't have a good plan of action to solve it, it does devolve in that. Because everybody has the experience of getting screwed over by women. I have that experience.
Yeah.
But if I don't know what to do about it...
We've all done it.
Exactly. You too. So if I don't know what to do about it and you don't know what to do about it, all we have left is commiseration over what women have done to us and how impotent we are to solve the problem. That's all we can do. So we will sound like just a group of whiny crybabies. But that's exactly our complaint, is they don't have a good plan of action.
Well, I am an administrator of a smaller MGTOW group. Mm-hmm. We're called Personal and Social Development for Men Going Their Own Way. And we're a small minority of MGTOWs who have just got sick of that and have just broke away, and we've started our own group. And we don't tolerate that kind of talk. When people come in and start victimizing themselves or complain about women, they get met head on.
We even have guys like that come to our academy. They obviously are poor in social interaction with both men and women, but it's stemming from the same problem. They don't know how to socialize properly. They don't know how to exercise authority in a relationship. They don't know how to lead a woman, let alone have a guy friendship relationship. They don't know how to establish even that. So we're addressing, we're killing two birds with one stone. And contrary to, the message that many MGTOWs I guess you could call mainstream MGTOW, contrary to what they believe, we're actually trying to help those guys.
Yeah, that's exactly what we're trying to do as well. We've got developed a model of levels of what people describe as the red pill. When people digest the red pill for the first time,
I hate that fucking term, and I'll tell you why. I know so everybody's in love with the Matrix and the red pill, but then the like the feminists have developed the blue pill, and then some guys like the hybrid. I'm the purple pill. I'm the beta male, and it just gets so convoluted. Everybody's so in love with a sci-fi reference that it just becomes a silliness.
But forget that. Let me explain what I think it is that's going on with people. When people first discover MGTOW, they call it like waking up out of the blue pill or digesting the red pill, whatever.
Right.
Whatever.
They're waking up to what society is. Yeah, they've been raised under in society.
They're starting to realize that the way they have always understood life to be, or the fairy tale romance stories that they've been taught from kids, is not the way it actually is.
Right. I was raised on Disney films too. Everybody thinks it's supposed to be a certain way.
So when they find this out, they start to get really, really angry. And then when you get a bunch of guys like that and you put them together, a bunch of really, really angry guys, it just creates
Elliot Rodger or George Sodini. Yeah.
Elliot Rodgers kind of people. You put all those people together, and there's no structure. There's nobody there to tell them, "Hang on, guys, relax. There's more to it than this." And then, we've designed a model of 4 levels. So on the second level is when you start to accept the way things are going on. Things might still piss you off a little bit, but you're still starting to come to terms with it, and you're getting on with your life because you realize that's all you can do. But
it's kind of like make the best. In your view, it'd be like make the best of a shitty situation, so to speak.
Well, it's coming to terms with it. Level 3 would be taking your life into your own hands and accepting responsibility for the results of your decisions, taking ownership of your emotions, and making positive advancements. Just being the man that you.
That sounds too general to me. Like, what does that mean? I mean, how is that any different from just being a guy in the world? They're saying, make your own way in the world. How is it any different?
It isn't any difference. The only difference is that you need to. You need to be in level 1 to experience that victim mentality, and you need to transcend that.
How are they what do they have to look forward to? What are they doing other than, what you described sounds just like what they tell people in high school and college. Get a job, make your own way, don't let things get you down. I mean, how is it any different?
It really is as simple as that, but for a lot of people it's out of their reality.
Well, it sounds simple. I mean, if it was that simple, everybody would be doing it already, but that's exactly what we're addressing is that so many men know what they should do in theory, but they don't have the wherewithal to even develop a game plan, a schedule, anything to give them step by step what they should do to accomplish what they need to accomplish. So it's kind of...
Well, I agree with you 100% of that. And unfortunately, some of the guys who come through our group, they don't make it. They either leave because they don't agree with us. They don't agree that there's an easier way to live their lives.
I don't think they've encountered our academy yet, because we've given a lot of men who have been at their end of the rope a lot of hope, because we actually have a practical plan of action. We actually are training these guys to learn how to speak up for themselves, which translates into so many areas, not just a business decision, but also, most important of all, is their personal relationships improve.
Yeah,
they are able to date women. They're able to form friendships with men.
The difference between those guys and what we call level 1, a lot of the level 1 red pills, is the guys that come to you want to change. And a lot of these level 1 MGTOWs, they don't want to change.
Well, they may want to change, but the problem is they don't know what's involved in the change. A lot of guys, just because of what they've heard and what they've seen on the internet, pickup artists and self-help gurus like Tony Robbins, they just hear, I need to listen to something for an hour, I'll get inspired, and then life changes. That's pretty much their view. So that's what we have to... A lot of our job is just unfucking these guys from all what they learned.
It's a magic pill society. People think that, if I buy slimming tablets, I'll be slim within a week. It's the same mentality. They're looking for the quick solution. They don't want to put the effort in. We tell people, your journey of change, it could take you 5 years.
Listen,
7 years.
I don't even know why you're not at our academy. We need to get you enrolled.
I'm very interested in joining the academy, actually.
We could greatly benefit you. The difference between us and other people are, number one, we're going to tell you exactly what we're teaching you and why we're teaching you what we're teaching you. We're going to be very specific. You won't even get this level of specificity with anybody out there today. If there was a program out there, I would be in it right now, because this academy developed because there wasn't such a thing as this specific program, the specific nature, the accountability that we teach you. It's unprecedented. It's unparalleled. That's pretty much what I could say about it in general. But like you may or may not know, we don't believe in these generalities. We don't believe in leaving things vague, and that is a huge problem for a lot of guys. They just have these general feel-good philosophies, these general inspirational statements they hear every now and then, groups that they can join with, MRAs, MGTOWs, but they're just groups. They don't have any way to go forward. We have that. We offer that to guys. That's all we do here.
It sounds like a solid program. It sounds like you're helping people establish identity. I'm all for personal development. I've done 2 personal development courses myself. I've done one with the Alzheimerata, so Zamperian, and I've done one with...
Oh, Zamperian. Look, we have a lot to unfuck you with. I mean, the stuff that you learn there, the difference too is that we tell you why these other groups are bad. A lot of groups will tell you, look, this is a good option. We're not an option. We're going to teach you about the difference between necessity and an option. Necessity is you need to do this. An option is, here's option 1, here's option 2, here's option 3. You can take either or. That's not what we teach you. We teach you why options are bad. We teach you why these things are bad. You need to know that because there's so many snake oil salesmen out there. There's so many groups out there to try. You have unlimited number of groups and a limited amount of time. How do you know which one is right? We teach you how to discern that. We teach you about principles, things that apply anywhere, regardless of the situation, the person, the culture. That's why our academy is international. It's worldwide. And that's why when I teach guys here, I don't teach according to the Chinese culture, the African culture, the Latin American culture. Because I teach about principles and how principles govern everything, that's why they apply regardless of the culture. Guys don't bring up, well, professor, I'm over here in Germany, and sorry, you're an American, therefore you're speaking Greek to me. It doesn't matter. No, it's exactly because we address principles that I'm able to talk to a guy in a completely different culture that I've never been a part of, and it applies to the situation. I need you enrolled. I need to get your ass enrolled one way or another. And another accusation we always address, but all our critics always fucking gloss over is that, look, we would like you to pay to support us, $21 a month, or it's even cheaper in other countries. But even if you don't want to pay, even if you can afford it, apply for a free scholarship. We don't care. We want you either paying or not paying, but we want you. We want to train you. That's how dedicated we are to the men around the world. And our critics, hey, fuck them. They're going to say, oh, you guys are snake oil salesmen. You can't call us snake oil salesmen because guys here have been training for free. You know, there's poor students here, and there's students who aren't poor or on free scholarship. How can we be a snake oil salesman if we don't get money out of them? Because that's the bottom line of a snake oil salesman. We get money out of you. If you're a free scholarship, we can't get money out of you.
Like I said, I'm all for personal development. The courses I have done have benefited me greatly. And but show me the link, and I'll...
Get your ass enrolled. Look, you go to manhood101.com, and it'll have the enroll there. It'll give you the option of whether you want to pay to enroll monthly. It's month-by-month subscription based via PayPal, or you could just enroll for a free scholarship. It'll give you both options on the enrollment page. You just choose whichever one, but just get yourself enrolled. Manhood101.com, you'll see the enrollment link off to the side there.
Cool. Well, one of the other admins on our MGTOW group is also doing it right now, and that's how I know about you guys.
Look, we cross lines. We've had guys, from the MGTOW group, just from results of hearing our debates, have said, look, we're going to give you a try. And that's all we ask. Because if we have what guys need, they're going to respond to that. And if we're just full of shit, hey, over time you'll find out.
All right, cool.
It was good talking to you, DJ. It wasn't much of a debate. It was more of a discussion. So it's good to know that there are other guys out there who aren't just going to fall for the common MGTOW thread, hook, line, and sinker, which is women are evil. We have no other options. We're just going to band together until we all sink together. Who wants that?
And if I can plug the group, that would be great.
Go ahead.
If anybody wants to join a positive MGTOW group and they're dedicated towards personal development and none of that woman-hating nonsense, the name of our group is Personal and Social Development of Men Going Their Own Way.
Don't join it. Join Manhood Academy instead. We'll debate them into the dirt.
Join both, but ours is totally
Don't join both. We'll debate all their ideology into the dirt to show you where they're wrong.
Hey, why don't you come and join our group?
Fuck no.
No?
Listen, if we would join your group, we'd have to burn down the academy. We'd have to declare ourselves wrong. We'd have to declare all the help we've given to men over the years kaput.
The boys there could benefit from your wisdom.
Yeah, they should. That's exactly why I want the academy. Look, the academy is just a name. What we're teaching here is principles. It's like we're teaching gravity. We don't care whether you call it the Chinese gravity or the American gravity. We just want to teach you about gravity. Just like we're teaching you how to form relationships with both men and women. We're not teaching you the academy way. We're just teaching you the functional way of doing things. Look, Academy, Manhood Academy, it's a fucking ridiculous, silly name. We should have named it something better, but it's really a fuck you to our critics. So be it. We could have called it Banana Academy. Same thing. The name is really useless. We care about teaching men the principles of how to govern a relationship properly so they can get their needs met. So they're not griping out there like the rest of the MGTOWs. And even MRAs, they're in the same boat. They're like, legal precedents, we need to change the laws, blah, blah. That's not going to change their relationships, the nature of the relationships that got them into the legal hot water in the first place.
No, it's all just poor me. Pour me another drink.
DJ, I've got to get to dinner. It was good meeting you. I hope I'll see you again very soon. So manhood101.com, get that enrollment link, and we'll see you at the academy.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
Cheers.